I'm reading Answer to Job by C.G. Jung, paragraph 718. The torrent of negative feelings seems to be inexhaustible, and the dire events continue their course. Out of the sea come monsters with horns, i.e., endowed with power, the horrid progeny of the deep. Faced with all this darkness and destruction, man's terrified consciousness quite understandably looks round for a mountain of refuge, an island of peace and safety. John therefore weaves in a vision of the Lamb on Mount Zion, where the 144,000 elect and redeemed are gathered round the Lamb. They are the select, the male virgins, which were not defiled with women. They are the ones who, following in the footsteps of the young dying God, have never become complete human beings, but have voluntarily renounced their share in the human lot and have said no to the continuance of life on earth. If everyone were converted to this point of view, man as a species would die out in a few decades. But of such preordained ones there are relatively few. John believed in predestination in accordance with higher authority. This is rank pessimism. Everything created is worth being liquidated, says Mephisto. Footnote, Revelation 14:1. It may be significant that there is no longer any talk of the great multitude which no man could number, from every nation, from all tribes and peoples and tongues, standing before the throne and before the Lamb, who were mentioned in 7:9. Second footnote, Revelation 14:4. Third footnote, the male virgins really belong to the cult of the Great Mother, since they correspond to the emasculated Gali. The strange passage in Matthew 19:12 about the eunuchs who have made themselves eunuchs for the sake of the kingdom of heaven, like the priests of Sibyl who used to castrate themselves in honor of her son Attis. Paragraph 719. This only moderately comforting prospect is immediately interrupted by the warning angels. The first angel proclaims an everlasting gospel, the quintessential of which is fear God. There is no more talk of God's love. What is feared can only be something fearful. Revelation 19:5. Paragraph 720. The Son of Man now appears holding a sharp sickle in his hand, together with an auxiliary angel who also has a sickle. Revelation 14:14. But the grape harvest consists in an unparalleled bloodbath. The angel gathered the vintage of the earth and threw it into the great winepress of the wrath of God, and blood flowed from the winepress, in which human beings were trodden, as high as a horse's bridle, for 1,600 stadia. Revelation 14:19-20. Paragraph 721. 7 angels then come out of the heavenly temple with the 7 vials of wrath, which they proceed to pour out on the earth. The pièce de la résistance is the destruction of the great whore of Babylon, the counterpart of the heavenly Jerusalem. The whore is the chthonic equivalent of the sun woman Sophia, with, however, a reversal in moral character. If the elect turn themselves into virgins in honor of the great Mother Sophia, a gruesome fantasy of fornication is spawned in the unconscious by way of compensation. The destruction of Babylon, therefore, represents not only the end of fornication, but the utter eradication of all life's joys and pleasures, as can be seen from Revelation 18, 22 to 23. And the sound of harpers and minstrels, of flute players and trumpeters, shall be heard in thee no more. And the light of a lamp shall shine in thee no more. And the voice of bridegroom and bride shall be heard in thee no more. Paragraph 722. As we happen to be living at the end of the Christian aeon, Pisces, one cannot help but recall the doom that has overtaken our modern art. Paragraph 723. Symbols like Jerusalem, Babylon, etc. are always undetermined, that is, they have several aspects of meaning and can therefore be interpreted in different ways. I am only concerned with the psychological aspect and do not wish to express an opinion as to their possible connection with historical events. Paragraph 724. The destruction of all beauty and of all life's joys and unspeakable suffering of the whole of creation that once sprang from the hand of a lavish creator would be, for a feeling heart, an occasion for deepest melancholy. But John cries, "Rejoice over her, thou heaven, ye holy apostles and prophets, for God hath avenged you on her," Babylon. From which we can see how far vindictiveness and lust for destruction can go, and what the thorn in the flesh means. Paragraph 725. It is Christ who, leading the hosts of angels, treads the winepress of the fierceness and wrath of Almighty God. Footnote, Revelation 19:15. His robe is dipped in blood. Footnote, Revelation 19:13. He rides a white horse. Footnote, Revelation 19:11. Here again, astrological speculations concerning the second half of the Christian aeon may be implied, with Pegasus as Paranatolon of Aquarius. He rides a white horse, and with the sword which issues out of his mouth he kills the beast and the false prophet, presumably his or John's dark counterpart, i.e. the shadow. Satan is locked up in the bottomless pit for 1,000 years, and Christ shall reign for the same length of time. After that he must be loosed a little season. Revelation 23. These 1,000 years correspond astrologically to the first half of the Pisces aeon. The setting free of Satan after this time must therefore correspond, one cannot imagine any other reason for it, to the enantiodromia of the Christian aeon. That is, to the reign of the Antichrist, whose coming could be predicted on astrological grounds. Finally, at the end of an unspecified period, the devil is thrown into the lake of fire and brimstone forever and ever, but not completely destroyed as in Enoch, and the whole of the first creation disappears. Footnote, Revelation 20:10 and 21:1.